Hi, I'm Nicola Mann from Parent9 Plus and welcome to Goss Teenager TV. I'm here with parenting expert Susie Hayman. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you, Nick. I'm Susie Hayman and I'm a trustee of Parent9 Plus and an agony aunt. And we've been looking at the message boards, haven't we, again, to see what's coming up. And I think there's been something about teenagers wanting boy or girlfriends to stay overnight.
That's exactly it. Parents are flooding our message boards with this issue, and so I'm sure they'll welcome some advice from you, Susie. So teenagers come home, says, I want my boyfriend or my girlfriend to stay over.
Yeah. What do you
what
do?
Next? Yeah.
What next? Very common one. I can remember it when I was a teenager. And it's really funny because my mother originally said no, even though I was actually living with my boyfriend at university. When we went to visit in the university holidays, we had to have separate rooms. Because the result was that at 2 a.m. in the morning, we were sneaky between rooms. And I always remember that afterwards, that when my stepson got to an age where he first brought someone to stay, it was, what do I want? Do I want them sneaking between the rooms at night? If they're actually already having a relationship. And I think the answer is, it's your house. If you want to make rules in your house, obviously you can do so. But I think sometimes as parents we have to think about the results of the rules we make. Do they make sense to our teenagers or our young people? Do they sound right? And what is the end result from that? Will they just be forcing to go in behind our backs? If you obviously want to sit down and talk with your teenager and say, well, this is why I really don't, I feel uncomfortable about this, I feel embarrassed about it, or I think you're too young, or whatever, have that conversation in a really calm way with them, but also listen to them. Ask them, what is happening and what's going on and what they think. Ask them to share it with you. And I have a very different view, I must admit, if my, if my son or daughter was, let's say, 15, 16, if we're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-olds, I would probably have a different view than if they were 16, 17, 18. Because I think there comes a point where, what they are doing may not be what we did, but it's what they're going to do anyway, and they've thought it through, and they feel they're doing the right thing. And then maybe as a parent what we should be thinking about, again, it's about protection. If we shift the protection from, I'm going to stop you having sex, well, have you failed on that already? Surely then the protection should be, I want you not to get pregnant, I want you not to get infections, and I want you to actually be treating each other with respect and kindness and love, and that's what I want happening under my roof. And the funny thing was with my mother, having talked about that story, I said, oh, for heaven's sakes, Mum, and she never listened to me, but a friend of hers, and a contemporary of hers, when I remarked about it in front of her, said to my mother, what? You don't be ridiculous, you're still doing that. And the next time we went to stay, we were in the same room.
Right.
So it's about, I think it's about, as a parent, it's about thinking, why are these rules? Are these rules still, should they still be enforced? Or has things changed since I was young? And has something changed since my teenager was a young teenager? How old are they now?
So thinking about that, and if teenagers are in a relationship, we've seen instances on our message boards of parents saying, I'm not happy for my son to have his girlfriend stay over, but her parents feel that that's okay. How do you marry that up?
Well, it's about, obviously if we're talking about it being illegal, in other words, if the girl is over 16, you certainly can't go and say you're not allowed to do this, because they're happy for it to happen under their roofs. And that's really what I'm talking about, that if you're making a demand, if you're making a rule that is unenforceable and other people don't share your feelings about, then maybe you should be thinking about whether that rule actually is working. If we're talking about a child who's under 16, and at that point I use the word child rather than young person, then maybe that's a question of sitting down with your own young person and saying, this is why I'm worried, this is what's going on here, let's talk it through. I think the more respect you show young people, the more they're prepared to listen to you. And it really is about this having a conversation rather than trying to set down a law. But certainly in a lot of the cases that I've had letters about, it feels to me that what is going on there is that the parent has their own discomfort, and is finding it difficult actually being able to get that. There isn't a conversation going on. Have a conversation actually. That makes